Let's take a look at inequalities with addition and subtraction of mixed numbers. Which sign makes the sentence true? 1.5 plus 1.5, is it greater than, equal to, or less than 1.5? Well, without even doing the whole problem, when you have a mixed number, you have a whole number part and then another fraction part towards the next whole number. So if I look just at the whole number parts, 1 and 1 is already going to add up to 2 before I even worry about the fractions. So 2 is already going to be greater than 1.5. So I wouldn't even have to finish that problem. Now in this case, 1/2 plus 1/2, right? Half plus a half gives me 1. So this one's easy enough mental math to finish it and say, okay, well 2 plus 1 gives me 3. So 3 is definitely going to be greater than 1.5. So I'm going to pick greater than. Which sign makes the sentence true? 2 2/3 plus 2 1/3. And is that going to be equal to, greater than, or less than 2 1/4? Well, again, if you look at just the whole number parts, 2 plus 2 already gives me 4. And 2/3 plus 1/3 would give me 3/3, which is another 1. So this would give me 5. That's bigger than 2 1/4. And again, remember that mixed number has a whole number part and then a fraction. So 2 1/4 is in between 2 and 3. So already when we know it's 4 and something, in this case it adds up to exactly 5, it has to be greater than 2 1/4. Right? This is our symbol for greater than. Two 1/4 plus 1.5, we want to compare that to 3 1/3. Now this one we have to look at a little bit more carefully because 2 plus 1 is 3, but 3 and something, we're comparing it to 3 and something. So we want to do a little work. Let's work this one out completely. Well, let's find the common denominator for 4, 2, and 3. Okay, so I want to find the smallest number that all of those go into. So one way I can do this is I can think of my multiples, which is basically counting by those numbers, right? Multiples of 2 would be things like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. If I look at my multiples of 3, I'm basically thinking I'm counting by 3s. So 3, 6, 9, 12, and you could keep going from there. Let's count by 4s, 4, 8, 12. So if I'm looking for the smallest number in all of these lists, or the least common multiple, well, that would be 12, right? It's the smallest number that is a common multiple between 2, 3, and 4. So I could write all of these as being fractions out of 12. So 2 and something out of 12 plus 1 and something out of 12. We want to compare that to 3 and something out of 12. Okay, so in my first fraction, if it was a 4 and I need to turn it into something out of 12, well, 4 times 3 would give me 12. So if I'm multiplying the bottom or the denominator by 3, I have to do the exact same thing on the top and multiply that by 3. Well, 1 times 3 gives me 3, so I can think of this as 2 and 3 over 12. For my next fraction, well, it was a 2 and I made it a 12. So I would have to multiply by 6, right? 2 times 6 would give me 12. So whatever I did on the bottom, you have to do the exact same thing in the numerator or top to keep that fraction equal. So 1 times 6 would give me 6. And here, if it was a 3 in the bottom or denominator and I made it a 12, I would need to multiply that by 4. So if I multiply by 4 on the bottom, I would have to do the same thing and multiply by 4 on the top, which would give me 1 times 4 is 4. All right, so now if I'm taking a look, right, I'm comparing these to try to see what number I would fill in the blank or what sign I would fill in the blank, less than, greater than, or equal to. Well, 2 plus 1 gives me 3, so the whole number part is the same. So I want to just compare the fraction part and see, well, 3/12 plus 6/12 would give me 9/12, right? You add the numbers on the top and keep that common denominator. So 3 and 9/12 is going to be a little bit bigger or greater than 3 and 4/12. So I'm going to fill in the blank with my greater than symbol. Okay, 3 1/3 minus 3 1/2 is that going to be equal to, greater than, or less than 4 1/2? Well, without even doing the whole problem, looking at just some mental math, 3 and something minus 3 and something, well, 3 minus 3 is 0, so I'm just going to have 1/3 minus 1/2 here. That is definitely going to be smaller or less than 4 1/2. Right? Because this is going to be less than 1, and this is more than 4. Two and 2/3 minus 1 1/2, and I want to say, is it less than, greater than, or equal to 2 and 2/3? Okay, well notice this part of the number, 2 and 2/3, is the same. So if I subtract 1 1/2 from it, that would be less than what I had before, right? 2 and 2/3 is going to be bigger than 2 and 2/3 minus 1 1/2. So this answer is going to give me less than, something less than or smaller than this, since I'm subtracting 1 1/2 from that number.